So we just finished buying our very first brand new RV. We've been RVing for years, but we bit the bullet, went out, spent the dollars, and got something right off the lot. One of the things that astounded us during our process of shopping, we were very careful about it, was how many 1 to 2 year old RVs are up for sale on RV lots, uh, barely used. And what it is a lot of people buying these very expensive units and it isn't right for them. So I want to save people some of that huge buyer's regret and offer a few questions you really have to ask yourself before you commit to buying a brand new RV. And they're pretty straightforward, but it's easy to forget them. Look, you've been to those RV shows, you get there, the salesmen are great, the RVs look fantastic, the posters show a Norman Rockwell world of a family playing by a lake, loving life. And hey, maybe if you do it all right, it will end up looking that way. But the realities are a lot different. And, when you look at these things, where the cheapest brand new one you can find is about $20,000, and it gets up to a high end of over $500,000 and everything in between, you really want to know that you're doing the right thing before you sign. Those finance packages they give are tempting and frightening as well. I mean, they extend financing 10, 15 years, which makes it sound like an affordable monthly payment. But then you find out you basically paid for that RV 4 times over before you finally paid it off. So think really hard. So I want to cover some of these things. The first and most important question you got to ask yourself, do you like RVing? I know that sounds odd. You're considering buying a brand new RV, but have you actually been out RVing before? A lot of people actually haven't. They just went to the show because something was going on the weekend and they wanted something to do, or they saw some friends enjoying it and they thought they'd jump in on it. But have you tried it? If you haven't, or if it's your only memories of it are as a kid when your parents took you out doing it, I strongly suggest you go out and either rent or borrow an RV for a period, and more than just a day or two. Take it out for 5 days or so, if you can do it. If you've got a friend who has one, or if you can rent one, because it's not for everybody. Some people get in and they find out, wow, I don't really like this. I don't like taking such a large machine down highways. I don't like trying to park it. I don't like the atmosphere in RV parks or the culture of it. There is a bit of a culture to RV people. It's a little different. It's not for everybody. So get a taste of it. I drive Uber in my off time now and then. And there's an incident that really stuck in my head. I picked up this man who was just dejected. He used it like a bar to he used me as a therapist while we drove him home. He had rented an RV and he'd been excited about it. I was picking him up from the RV rental place. He'd just dropped it off. And I guess just everything went wrong. He took the family out, all the planning, went into the mountains. I live in Alberta, Canada. We got the mountains nearby. The weather was bad. He had trouble figuring it out. The kids were miserable. The wife was ticked off. He just had a terrible, terrible time. It actually it must have been horrible the way this man was acting. It's a shame. But at least he only rented it. Could you imagine sinking $100,000 into an RV, $150,000, and finding out your family hates it? Try it out, guys. Check one out. See if you can do it. The other thing you'd learn is what kind of RV is best for you. There's dozens of types out there. Dozens. And they all are great if they're matched with the right person, but they can be terrible if they're with the wrong one. Find out what kind of RVing you want to do. Do you want to go into the backwoods deep, into some of those beautiful spots? Well, that's great, but you'll need some sort of off-road capable machine. You can't get a great big long diesel pusher back into those spots. But if you've got a large family and you're going to be sitting still for a long time, then a truck camper probably isn't the way you want to go. Of course, your budget depends a lot on it. Fifth wheels, great, but then there's different kinds of fifth wheels. Do you want a great big park model again that's going to be sitting still, or are you going to be traveling a lot? Because then that'll impact the kind of size you want, or what kind of truck do you have? Think about all these things again before you sign. I promise you, that salesman will tell you they're all perfect for you, and they aren't. They really aren't. So again, that's why I talk about getting out and trying one for a bit and get a taste of it. And if you are patient enough to go a year, do a whole season. And if you've got the ability, again, what I would suggest with us, Jane and I, it was an evolution. We loved camping when we got together when we were young, tenting. But I went out and picked up while I was surveying, and a farmer sold me this little 13-foot beater of a trailer that I took out for $750, and we used that for a few years. And I tell you what, when you go from tenting on the ground to even that old beat up trailer where suddenly you've got a hard roof, you've got a little refrigerator, you've got a furnace, you've got a stove, there's no turning back. A bed, you don't want to go back into a tent again. Those days are done. And then we moved up into an older fifth wheel, which we bought for a few $1,000s. And we got a good few years out of that. We took that all the way down to Arizona a number of times in winter and used it and loved it. But then we also knew very much what we wanted. So when we went into this brand new unit, we had a really good idea what we were looking for. So one of the big ones for us, for example, and I'll show with this video, we travel, we stay on the roadside a lot. We cover a lot of ground. So I didn't want a great big long one. And also RV slides. What people might not notice, but most of them, the slide, if it's in, will block the stairs, at least in fifth wheels. So you can't get to the bedroom or the bathroom without putting the slide out. Seems like a minor thing. And for a lot of people, it might be if you just go to a park and stay there all the time. But for us, that would be a huge pain in the butt because we're stopping, say, in a truck stop just to have a quick break or maybe sleep for a few hours. We can't do a full setup and put the slides and everything out. We just want to be able to get to our fridge, get to our table, get to our bathroom, very important, and our bedroom. So that was a deal breaker for us when shopping, but we never would have known that without having put in our time on the road in an RV. So one thing I suggest, it depends on your budget, depends on your patience, it depends on how good you are at buying and selling things, but maybe buy an older used unit for 1 year. Because 1 year of using that will tell you, assuming you want to upgrade to a brand new one, a lot of the little details of what you're going to look for when you commit yourself to a new one. Like I said, some of those payment plans could be as long as 10 years. And these things that seem like a little inconvenience could drive you nuts by year 5. But you've already signed on the bottom line and signed your soul to the financing devil, so you can't get out of it. Another big question you got to ask yourself, will I use it? That's got to be the biggest buyer's regret thing I hear from people who buy RVs. They buy it, they're excited, and it turns out they just can't or don't make the time, and they never get it out for more than a couple of weekends a year, and it just sits and depreciates. And I tell you what, RVs are a terrible investment as far as depreciation goes. They're horrible. They go down in value fast. They aren't like vehicles where you have an odometer. So at least if you bought a good vehicle and you didn't use it much, you could still say yes, but look, it's barely been used. No, RVs don't have that. So they're not, well, aside from motorhomes, but they're measured by the year. And yes, if you care for it well, it'll hold a bit of its value. But for the most part, they really drop their value fast. So the only way it makes it worthwhile for you, and it can be worthwhile, but you have to use it a lot. You got to get out and get it into the field and live in this thing. Use it, not as a full-timer necessarily, but make use of it. Some people say, oh, not all of them depreciate. I'll tell you, so the different RV cultures, I guess you could say, are the Airstream people. They're a special sort, just like Jeep people are different people or Harley people are different bikers. Well, the Airstream people insist, look at these things, they hold their value. Yes, they do, somewhat. More than other ones, absolutely. They're built like tanks, and they look like tanks. They're solid. If you want to be in a steel tube, it won't leak, it'll hold on. And if you want to spend $200,000 for a modest new one, because that's where they start, guys. Oh, you can get little ones of those, little tiny things down as low as, I think, $60,000 new. But if it's for you, hey, I don't want to knock them all together. Those are pretty much the only ones that kind of hold their value. The rest, they're not going to be worth much when you're done with them. So make sure you're going to use it. And that's what still horrified me, right? When we get on the lots and we saw ones that are 1-2 years old that people traded in or whatever they did, got rid of, and they're down by 30% on whatever the value was a year before when it was brand new. And they were barely used. What a terrible thing to happen to somebody. So just know if you're going to use it. And the other big one, have you got somewhere to keep it? People don't think about that necessarily. Do you have a property where you can keep it on your property? If you're looking at a small trailer or you've got a large property, check with your homeowners association, check with your municipal bylaws. You might not be able to keep it there. Most often, if you live in the city, you're out of luck. You've got to keep this in storage somewhere. And storage rates run from $75 a month to $400 a month if you're looking for indoor storage, if you're really looking to baby something, I guess. But you've got to have somewhere to keep it. And that's a big pain in the butt if you live in the inner city. If you've got it stored a distance away, okay, you want to get using it. Well, somebody's got to go out. You got to pick it up. Take it home in front of the place if you can. Clean it, give it a vacuum. It's going to be dusty. Make sure there's no mice in it. Get it all set up. Put your stuff into it. Take it out. Have your good time. Then you get back. You're tired. You're exhausted. But all you got time for right now is unloading this whole thing, driving it back to the storage lot, putting it in rather than just coming home, unpacking, going to bed. Again, if you're doing long stretches out there and you use it a lot, that could very well be worth it. But think about those things. As well, you can't keep an eye on it if it's out in storage. So if mice get into it, that could be a problem. You also have to watch these. You have to maintain them. You don't have to be an expert handyman, but you should be a little proficient. You're driving a motorized house. That's why they call it motorhomes, even with trailers. They're different than other things. They're built very light, which means they can be a bit flimsy, and a lot of things shake loose and come apart. A lot are really easy to fix. A little plumbing fitting, a loose wire somewhere, a little caulking on a spot where it's starting to leak a bit, not too hard. But if you're really not inclined to even those kinds of fixes, you're going to spend a whole heck of a lot of money taking these into dealerships to get them to do it. So be prepared to do a little more work on this than you would on another house. But the upside is this is your traveling personal space. This is your home on wheels in a way. When you go away, you don't have to unpack suitcases anymore. You've got your wardrobe and your drawers in your bedroom. You've got your own kitchen with your own stock in it, your pantry, your dishes, whatever you like. It's fantastic. But it might not be for you. So I'm not a master expert in RVs. I'm just somebody who was horrified seeing, and I can't imagine the pain of some of the people who spent 6 figures on a unit that they ended up selling a year later with having barely used it. If that wasn't their thing, they could have probably flown to Europe with the family or done a few other things. I want to see more people RVing. I think more people are than ever. It's turning into a fantastic lifestyle. We love snowbirding. We're going to spend more and more time in Arizona escaping this Canadian winter. But at the same time, not everybody wants to do that. So I hope this video just helped just anybody. If you're really a little impulsive, you can be prone to grabbing something that you might not be ready for. Just think about those questions a bit first. Deciding to buy an RV might be one of the best decisions you ever made, and you love the unit you got, but it could turn into a horror story for you too. And I would just spare you that pain.